Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the second in the series of business sustainability and growth hacks for small business. So I am very excited about this series that Uplift is provided for us. I'm very happy to be partnering with them on it. So we are putting together a strategic playbook for developing and future proofing your small business. So if you've got that mouthful there, last week, if you missed it, we talked about foundations and growth hacks that can spark success in your business, where we covered a lot of foundational principles and going from idea to income, leveraging and scaling what you're currently doing, kind of getting rid of a lot of those things that were creating some of that waste in our business and streamlining things and diversifying our revenue streams. So that was last week. Now, this week, we are taking a step forward in that, and we're going to be talking about using stories, marketing. I would say sales is titled Stories, Sales, and Smart Tech, but I want to kind of revise that to say stories, marketing, and AI to click, connect, and increase the conversions that you are getting in your business endeavors. So whether you are trying to attract more clients for a service-based business, whether you're trying to attract more customers to a product-based business, whether you are trying to attract people to experience your tourism organization or your tourism setup that you have going on in your area. In any of those things, we want to be able to increase our conversions, which means we want to be able to have people connect to it and have an experience with it, a paid experience, or if it's not a paid experience that you're offering, a memorable experience that would help them share the story when they go back and bring others to you, as well as bringing them back to you. So today is all about exploring how you can grab folks' attention, build trust, and convert them with authenticity, creativity, and smart systems. So we're going to get started. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. If you've ever taken one of my classes or courses online before, you know that I'm very interactive. I love to see you on camera. I love to get the feedback. So don't count this as extremely formal, where I don't want you talking to me, asking questions, or anything. I want to be able to interact with you, answer your questions in real time. There will be spaces throughout for Q&A, like Hester was mentioning earlier, but feel free at any time to drop things in the chat. And I hope your fingers are ready to work. You don't have to be beautified to come on camera. It's okay. If you want to come off mute, come on camera, ask a question. We're free, and I'm open to that. I invite that. The first thing I want you to invite you to do is to actually drop like your name, your information in the chat. Tell us a little bit about you, introduce yourselves, kind of get to know each other. And we're going to start with the icebreaker here while you guys are doing that. And hey, Vanessa, I see you already in the chat warming up. So let's get our first icebreaker underway, which is already on the screen here. So I want you to select 1, 2, or 3. And I see some folks that were on here for last week. So welcome back, everybody. So our icebreaker for today is this. And I want you to drop this in the chat for me. Which one of these challenges do you struggle with the most in your business or in your experience? What's that? Hi, Tammy. Welcome back. Which one of these is the biggest challenge in your business right now? Is it telling your story? Crafting a compelling narrative that's going to resonate with your people? Is it marketing that's your biggest challenge, which is creating effective strategies that convert on a budget? Or is it smart tech, leveraging AI and automation to streamline what's happening in your business? So 1, 2, or 3, which one of those 3 things are your biggest challenge right now? Is your biggest challenge in business? Yeah, I see some 2 and 3. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of 3. Okay. Okay. And 2, yeah, I see a 2 with the marketing. All right, well, good. So honestly, this is going to be a really great presentation for you today. There's going to be some great tools that you're going to walk away with, including a resource that I'm going to give you at the end of this that I did not tell the Uplift team about, and I'm going to have to send it to Hessa once this presentation is over. But I'm going to give you something really, really great today to take with you, and something that I would usually probably charge about $75 for. If you were purchasing it from me as a product, I want to put it in your hands. It's a very, very unique tool, and it's going to help you kind of frame all of these things that we talk about today. So if you like free stuff, put yay in the comments. If you like free stuff, drop a yay in the comments for me. Let me, I see it quick. Absolutely. All right, you guys, let's get started. So next slide, we have the amazing Taylor controlling these slides for us today. And I hear she's a guru, so y'all better put your seatbelts on. All right, so here we go. First and foremost, let's talk about the law of attraction. And we can rephrase that as brand magnetism and building a business that people love. That's the first thing we're going to talk about today. And understanding that people don't just connect with your products and services, they connect more so to other people and to a purpose behind the business. Now, on the surface, it does not truly look like that when you see someone shopping and even when you're shopping yourself. But there's a deeper connection in how people find your business and interact with your business or your experience. So just remember that is that they aren't just looking for the product and they aren't just looking for the particular service. They're looking for the feeling they get when they experience what you're offering. They're looking for the solution that they get once they experience what you're offering, once they make that purchase and they seal the deal. How does that person feel? What kind of results do they get? How does it make their life better? How does it make their life easier? That's what a person is actually looking for when they're shopping or either looking for an experience. So here's the thing about stories, right? Stories stir up emotions, and emotions drive decisions. And if you actually study the psychology of business, you will understand very quickly that decision making happens up front, is what I call it. Like it's in your frontal lobe where we're taking all of these emotions in and it's driving what we pick up, what we watch, how we consume ads, how fast we thumb through ads. And we're going to look at some average times that people are actually thumbing through social media. I'm going to tell you which platforms are more attractive to which age groups right now. But emotions drive decisions, right? And I bet you, you are probably one of the two people. You shop when you're happy or you shop when you're not. It's one of those is your driving factors, and you're using consumption to compensate for something emotionally, typically. And we're trying to fill a need in our lives at the same time, but it's just a fact. So that's why good stories create good businesses, because they create emotions and emotions drive purchase decisions. We just tell you that. Shop as stress management technique. Yes, it happens a lot, right? It happens a lot. Stories create loyalty. So authentic narratives build lasting customer relationships. People connect with what's real. In layman's terms, that's the best way I could tell you, right? So I want to give you now that we understand the basis of why people purchase and what drives those purchases outside of just quality and affordability. Emotion is also a third and large attachment. So if we're talking about brand magnetism, if we're talking about attraction, that means we're building some type of connection with people who come in contact with our brand at whatever touch point. Whether that touch point is in our email, whether that touch point is on our social media, whether that touch point is word of mouth coming from someone else, what type of story is your brand passing along at any given time, right? Let's look at that. So the next thing I'm going to give you, if we look at this next slide here, it's really powerful because it tells you what practical storytelling actions you're going to be taking to make this real for your business. So I want you to put this in perspective of what you do. So think about your business for a minute and focus on your business, not just general information I'm going to give you, but how can you actually make this stuff practical that you're learning today? And here are some practical storytelling actions that I want you to take. The first thing here that I want you to do is craft a 60-second brand story. Now, in some of my other workshops, it looks like me actually walking up to your table where you're sitting with your group and saying, I want you to create a 60-second pitch for your business. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do that. So just put yourself in the frame of mind. If I were going to create a 1 minute story about my brand that is going to talk about my why, who I'm serving, and what makes my business different, this is the difference that I'm going to make in this ticket. This is the brand story that I'm going to tell. So craft your brand story and do it. Make sure you do it within 60 seconds because we lose people's attention really quickly. We capture it quickly, but we also lose it quickly. And we want to capture it quickly and we want to hold it for as long as we possibly can because everybody's attention span these days is like that. So 60 seconds, keep it at 60. Don't push it to 120. If you do, you better be darn interesting if you're going to hold somebody for a full 2 minutes talking about what your business does. It's usually very quick in conversation. Something to help you craft that is just using what we call the I help formula and adding emotion to that. So mine would be I help small businesses and entrepreneurs within the first 0 to 5 years start and grow businesses to profitability to create a legacy and help build up their community. So what I do as a business coach, what would that be for your formula? Who do you help? Why do you help them? What makes you different? And how do you help them? So that helps you craft that brand story. Second thing I want you to do to help you get practical storytelling actions underneath your belt, second thing to do here is identify your customer success stories. So customer success stories can look like people who've actually made a purchase from you, people who've had an experience with you, or people who are even just looking you up and searching you, finding you on search engines and different things like that. So it is really people who are interacting with your business. Now, we definitely want those people who have already converted to talk about their experience with you because it's more convincing because they've already been there, done that, right? So identify customer success stories. Who in your business has had an experience? How do you get information from them about how their experience was? And then you got to craft how to tell that story that's coming directly from them. Third thing I want you to do here is schedule story prompts. Now, okay, Cynthia, what do you mean by schedule story prompts? So here it is. You're going to build out story prompts into your calendar. And those prompts are going to be things that trigger people to make them want to learn more about you, more about your business, more about what you do. So it's like this. Don't wait for inspiration, right? Sometimes you need to create inspiration for people because it just does not, inspiration doesn't come from thin air. You know, we can motivate ourselves to a certain level. Motivation is usually internal. I like to think of it like that. And inspiration is usually external. So create inspiration for people to find you, right? Don't wait for that inspiration to just happen. At any notion, with any feedback that you have about your business, about your experience, figure out how you're going to take that information and how you're going to turn it over to be a producer for you over and over again, and how you're going to share that with people. So use sensory details in it. Think about sound, color, feeling with people's experience, things that make memory stick for people. Because there are certain things that you can attach in your brain to other things that have happened in your past or things that you're familiar with that make a story stick to people. So figure it out. What triggers, what keywords, what things can you use about your business and in your prompts when you're talking and telling your story are going to make someone remember what you do. All right. Now, next slide, because we've got that part covered. Here's a challenge for you. And if anybody's brave enough, I want you to come off mute and share it with us today. And I've got a couple of questions right here to challenge you in. So I want somebody, if you're brave enough, to share an aha moment. And I'll say it like an old business coach of mine used to tell me, leaders go first. Share an aha moment with us. What moment made you realize that your business actually mattered, that your business matters, or that you were making a difference? Anybody want to come off mute and talk about their aha moment? What was a moment that you had in your business where you realized, like, oh my God, This could be powerful. This could be life-changing. This could be the difference for
Mhm.
somebody. Did you have a moment in your business where that happened that you want to share with us? Now I've got one more question for you. Let me get another bold person on here today, and I want you to share an idea because you've probably by now just listening to me talk have been thinking about what you can do as far as creating your own story. So, does anybody want to tackle this question? How can you create an experience that people will want to talk about and relate it to your specific business? Is there a way that you think you can create an experience where people will talk about your business or talk about what you do? What can you create? Or what can you do to make people want to talk about your business? Anybody want to take that one on? But I will say this to help you. So, when you're storytelling, one of the most important things is to know the audience that you're telling the story to.
Mhm.
So it could be that you are in a very intimate networking session where you're talking business owner to business owner, and it's more of a setting of where you would want to hear the background of how someone came to do what they're doing. And you want to know more of the why, understanding the why, right? So there are settings like that. And then there are settings that are almost like your live after fives, your business after hours. And even on some of the, I know you do lives. I've seen you do lives and I participated on, you do amazing, by the way, online where you're focused solely on the business and what the business can provide. And that setting may be just mainly with customers. So if you're dealing mostly with stakeholders, they may want to know more about the why and the driven that's behind that, the reasoning for why you're doing it. So they may want to attach themselves more to the personal brand. So you could lean into the conversation more with your personal brand in those instances and bring in the business and then explain how the business ties into your goals as a business owner. Now, if we're in the midst of audiences like our customers, existing or potential, or opportunities for growth for the business, and we know that that's the reason why we're there or the reason why we're on that program or in that instance, then we want to lean more into here's what my business provides, here's who it helps, and here's how it helps them. And always lead with that when you're dealing with customers, potential or existing. Always lead with that about the business and let them open the door to wanting to know more about your personal brand. So then if they start asking, well, why did you start that business? Like what made you want to do it? Those are some of those keywords and trigger questions that lets you know that they are okay. Now they're trying to emotionally attach themselves. And I hope that answers the question, Vanessa. Is that pretty? Does that help?
Yes, it does. It helps a lot.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah, because we get into these situations. And one thing important I think to know about our story is that we as business owners, we're always passionate about the why, and we're always more driven to lean into that. And it's just basically kind of reading the room and saying, okay, am I dealing with people who want to be involved with the why, or am I dealing with people who want to take advantage of the services and get results from what I offer? And when you answer that question, it will kind of lead you into, okay, let me lead more into my brand story and tie into business, or let me lead with the business and leave them space to open up about what else they want to know. So I hope that's super helpful for everyone. Great question. Any other questions, suggestions before we move on? Topic number 2 is going to be your first 10K in business and strategic marketing on a budget. So I'm going to lean more into the strategic marketing on a budget in here, because if you do that, then it will certainly lead to your first 10K in business. Now, whether 10K looks different for different types of business owners, you may need 10K in a month. You may need 10K in your business for the first year and you're just getting started. You may need 10K in 6 months. Whatever that timeline is for you, here are some strategic ways that you can use marketing to reach that without breaking the bank and without running your bank account for your business into a dark and dreary place from which we got to crawl out of sometime later. But here's how we're going to do that, right? So, fact of the matter is this: marketing does not need to be expensive. It does not need to be expensive. Just because you spend money on it doesn't mean it's going to produce results. Marketing needs to be intentional. So, intentional revenue generating action is what I want you to think about when we're talking strategic marketing. Intentional revenue generating actions. Getting rid of platforms that are not producing results for us. Canceling subscriptions for different marketing methods that are not producing for us. Let me give you a personal example of mine. I just posted a TikTok video about this yesterday of a platform I was spending money on that I literally shot down yesterday and canceled it like immediately when I saw what I was losing. So, three areas here where I want you to focus when we're talking about strategic marketing. And those are, again, being intentional, focusing on specific goals, very specific and data driven, right? Those goals, very specific, intentional. Being strategic, that means we're planning with clear outcomes. We understand where we want to be. Now let's attach a plan to that to help us go on that path to get to those end results. And the last thing that I want you to focus on is being budget friendly. And that means we're effectively working without high costs. So we want to keep as much money in our pocket as possible with marketing, but we also want to make sure that our goals are very clear. We have a strategic pathway on how to get there. And once we set out on that path, we're not just, sprinting here, sprinting there, sprinting on this side, running on that side, having ads running everywhere, using 7 different platforms, and think that we're doing something moving toward our goal, but we're really not because our actions are not intentional or revenue generating. That's what we want to avoid. So if we look at the next slide, here are some smart strategies, smart marketing strategies that folks overlook. And I'm going to dive into these a little bit for you to help you. But the first thing that you can do, I always give you tools to use. I'm never going to just tell you to do something and not show you how. So now that you know that you need to have intentional and strategic marketing plans that are low cost on your budget, here's how you make that happen. You create a 30-day marketing theme, right? Create marketing themes month to month. And you can sit down with an AI tool to help you do this. Create a 30-day marketing theme. If you were in a health and wellness business, an example for 1 month may be when spring is coming in, spring into wellness. It's one of the most common themes that you see. And you see it so much because is those business owners are using a thought process to say, let me lay out what the attention getter is going to be or what this marketing theme is going to be that's going to attract the right people. The second thing that you can do or use as a very smart marketing strategy that saves money is a referral and reward system. So point systems. So one of the simplest ones, Food Lion MVP programs. Every business that you have that you walk into right now, it is probably, especially larger corporations, they have some sort of award system set up. Whether they don't have punch cards anymore. A lot of the small businesses do punch cards, but I was just in a downtown development board meeting for my county this morning, and we were talking about doing downtown discount cards. So folks who are coming to visit our downtown, they can grab a discount card either from one of the businesses or from the chamber office. And that discount card will have all of the businesses that are downtown, and whether they want to get a free appetizer at this restaurant, if they go there, show the card. So they purchase the card from the county and it goes into that budget, and then they shop wherever and they're discounted at whatever. And it brings foot traffic into those downtown businesses. It generates revenue for the town, but it could also generate revenue for those businesses. So think about referral and reward systems in your business. Offer digital products. If you're a service-based business like myself, don't just think discount first. What else can you offer as a reward to people? Money savings, yes, we always think about, but know who your customers and your clients are because there may be something that feels like more of a reward for them. Maybe they need to spend more time with you. Maybe they need a one-on-one. Maybe they could use um, just a low-level product to help them. So try to think outside the box with the referral and reward systems. Third thing you can do that's a really smart marketing strategy that will help you save money is use pre-orders to test the demand for what you're offering. So sometimes as business owners, we get really excited about the products, the services, the experience, but we have not had others to kind of experience that new thing yet. So it's in a trial phase. So we don't want to fully and completely launch something that's in a trial phase for you, something completely new. We do not want to present that to the masses in your business, to everyone at the same time. Use a strategy of offering a pre-order for it or something like a limited time offer to a sample size of folks to see who's going to bite and why they're going to bite. So you could do that by setting up a waiting list. It looks like a landing page, right? Where you just have a link where people go to a landing page, sign up, give a deadline for it because you got to create a sense of urgency for people to feel like I need to go ahead and answer this. So, but try using a pre-order to test the demand for it before you fully launch what it is that you're offering, if it's something new that you're introducing. Another strategy that I want you to use for marketing to save money is tap into community groups. So there's groups on Facebook, there are groups on other platforms, and if you're in the right circle of people on Instagram threads, that can almost seem like a group. If you've got folks following you on LinkedIn, or LinkedIn has its own groups that you can actually use for market research and testing when you join. So look for the groups that align with the things that you're selling or what folks would want, things like that. So for me as a startup coach, what that looks like, I'm in several LinkedIn groups for startup businesses, for new entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs who are trying to scale their businesses, entrepreneurs trying to write business plans, things like that. So I go in and I plant myself in these groups. And I seek out groups like that, or I have my virtual assistant do it if I don't have time. But tap into community groups because you want to go where your people are already hanging out. You can build community, but building community takes time. I started a Facebook group called BYOB, not bring your own bag, but build your own business. I started a Facebook group back in October of 2021 for new entrepreneurs, and it's going strong to today. We're almost at 3,000 members. So, but it's building organically. I haven't done any paid ads to help build up that group, but new entrepreneurs have joined that group throughout the years since 2021. So just know that you can create your own communities. It just takes time if you're going to do that organically. But speaking of organically versus paid, um, organic takes time and it takes investment and effort. If we're going to go the other route, you can also invest in paid ads. Digital marketing is a lot more affordable. You can invest in paid ads, and paid ads give you faster and broader exposure. So you can run a paid ad and you can it's literally paying the algo to push your information out to the right people that you select. Now you have to program that in there, or if it may be like Meta and promote it to a smart audience. And I think TikTok will actually do that too. I've run ads on TikTok before. So if you're going to invest in paid ads, one of the most important things that I can tell you about investing in paid ads is to make sure that you have a plan for what happens with that engagement and with that customer journey. So when you do put an ad out, you know, okay, here's the link that I want these folks to click on. Here's the product that I want them to see and buy, or here's the experience that I want them to link up to, purchase a ticket or sign up for, or here's the email list that I want them signed up for. Just make sure you have a plan for engagement and customer journey if you're going to do paid ads. So we're talking about saving money. Again, these are different ways that you can use in your business, 5 different ways that I've given you, 5 different marketing strategies now that are very smart, that save you a lot of time and energy, but they also save you a ton of money. So next slide, let me show you guys this about content creation. When you are creating content for your business, when you're marketing, you're creating posts like that, make sure that you are answering people's questions about your business. So the only way that you can answer a question is to know what the questions are. So you've got to find out a way to collect frequently asked questions from your customers, get the facts from them, ask them on social media, ask them in emails, figure out creative ways to do this. Have QR codes posted somewhere on your different platforms, but figure out how you can do that. Transform. And by transform, I mean convert your questions into content ideas. So if we're talking about things to post, post people's questions that they have, post the questions for other people to answer and to see how people would even address that. And that's an easy way for you to get an answer for it. But transforming means you're just converting those things into content ideas and things for you to create. And then create the actual content, develop the posts, make the videos, write out the emails. Some things we just cannot get around unless we outsource it and have somebody else to do it. But honestly, creating content, I would suggest that any new business owner sample this themselves. You need the experience of understanding how to communicate with your audience, how will they digest it, understand it, what kind of information they get back. You need to toggle around and sample around creating your own content before you ever outsource it, because then you have the full experience of, I know what it is that my customers are looking for, and I know how I want my brand represented, and this is how it's going to be received. So before I pass that off to anybody else, let me have that understanding within myself first as a business owner. All right. And then share and engage, publish it, interact with the audience. Don't just post it and leave it. Once people start commenting, even if they're just liking, go back on the post, mention something. So we can't always get around spending time and energy and making sure that these things happen. But just make sure you're as productive as possible and making the best use of that time. So prioritize, build out time blocks for you to do this, because if not, you will spend hours, I mean, hours on social media and doing this planning. And you don't need to do that. Set a limit for yourself. Set a limit for yourself. Show me an emoji in the comments and let me know if you've ever been overwhelmed with creating your own content in your business and doing your own marketing. If you have, like, give me a thumbs up. If you've ever been overwhelmed doing your own marketing and content creation, yeah, it is so time. Yes, very time consuming. If you've ever had that experience, it's not easy. So time block it and honor your limits, right? I talked about May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I did a presentation, I think last week, yeah, on how to balance in your business and make sure that we're prioritizing so we're not getting overwhelmed. Set a time block and honor those boundaries that you set for yourself. All right. So hopefully, I wanted to see if y'all could see this on this page here, but Taylor, will that scroll down to show them that graph? Awesome. So here's the first graph I wanted to show you. So I've got to give you some nice, beautiful data so you know that I'm not just fabricating things, right? Here is an study that's been done in 2023 that tells us social media usage by age. Now, why do I want to show you this? Because I'm pretty sure that every single customer, client, potential customer you have is an age, whether they're 18, whether they're 8, like Ampetsu was telling us before, she had an 8-year-old that engaged with her business, or whether they're 82, right? Where do they fall in this spectrum? So Gen Z, at that time, they're like 11 to 26, which will now be about 13 to 28 years old. 56 million, over 56 million are on social media. Millennials, like myself, 68.5 million of us, 51 million Gen Xers, and 36 million, nearly 37 million baby boomers online, on social media interacting. So think about who interacts with your business and what age group are they, because this will tell you how much you need to immerse yourself in certain areas of marketing. So if you're advertising on social media, and you're selling to Gen Z and millennials, like you need to be pushing yourself on social media. But if your audience is more so Gen Xers and baby boomers and who you need to attract to your business, then you may want to look to some traditional means of marketing, more like the newspaper ads and things like that, and paper materials to get out to them. So that looks a little bit different. All right, what we got up next on the next slide? Platform selection strategy. So knowing your audience demographics, choose the right platforms where your ideal customers are going to be spending time. So let me see if I can share my screen with you guys. So take a look here. This is the average time spent per day on social media platforms in the US. And this was a couple of years ago, so you can only expect that this has increased, right? People are spending on average in minutes close to an hour, and this is for every engagement now. So this isn't just like people are sitting down one time a day and pulling up social media accounts. Think about someone actually multiple times a day accessing these sites. So which sites are being are being used more throughout the day? TikTok right now is your number one. And that's because that's where most of your Gen Zers are. And you still have a lot of millennials that are using TikToks. They're spending it close to an hour per. This is not just per day, like this is per every time they sit down to look at it. So if we think about in a day, one person on average, especially a Gen Zer, they might be sitting down to look at TikTok about 3 or 4 times a day. Well, each time they get on there, they could be spending close to an hour on there, scrolling, taking a look and seeing, does anybody else's, my phone tells me what my usage has been at the end of the week. I get like a weekly usage report. Yeah. And one of those reports will tell you how many times you've used your phone while you're driving. That's a scary report, but we need to see that. So hopefully you guys don't look like me on the driving report, and that doesn't leave this room. We can't make that's off the record. Taylor and Hessa, off the record. All right, but YouTube is the second. Everybody's on YouTube University, so make sure that you're on those platforms. Now, why are people spending more time on there? It's because these are video-driven platforms. So people love to see active video and interaction about what's going on with your business. It's a lot better than just reading a short quote, just looking at a single photo, which is why that usage drops immediately when you get to Twitter. It's only about half the amount of time that people are on TikTok and YouTube because videos require for you to watch for a longer period of time. So 1 minute, 2 minute videos, you watch enough of those and an hour has gone by, like easily. It's not the same for X, for Instagram, Facebook, Snap, or Reddit, right? And LinkedIn is probably somewhere for like underneath Reddit almost. Well, I would probably put LinkedIn between Snapchat and Reddit. But video content, super popular, super effective for your business. And I want you to make sure that if you're not using video content, that somehow you're figuring out how to get on these platforms to generate that for yourself, if that's where your audience is. So that's super important. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing and let Taylor take back over. So here's the thing. Now that we've gotten those stats and we understand where these platforms are leading us, it's important for us to know which platforms that we're using and what marketing themes to use. So platform selection strategy, we've looked there. And the second graph there, you're going to get a copy of this and I'll make sure I blow that up in the presentation that you guys will get, because that's pretty much telling us the age groups again and which platforms they're interacting with over a certain period of time. So from 2023 to 2027 is what that content format fit looks like, and matching your strengths to that next one. All right. So our next slide is a breakdown on the graphics and what each one actually represents. So platforms here, the primary group age that's using them, and the best types of content to use on them. If your people are on Instagram, they're probably between 18 to 34 years old, and the best content to post there is going to be visuals, stories, reels, a little bit of video content with a mixture of educational. If your folks are 25 to 45 years old and they're on LinkedIn, which is usually more professional, business to business. I've seen a lot of memes in the past that said, we definitely do not post on Facebook like we post on LinkedIn. Like I have a LinkedIn personality and then I have a Snap personality and then I got a TikTok personality is true, right? Because LinkedIn is all about establishing yourself as a thought leader. It's a lot more professional. TikTok, 16 to 24 years old. Again, previous slide I think said 18, but yes, definitely. No, 13 was what we looked at before, and that sounds a lot more accurate. Short form videos, trendy things, fads, all of the stuff that's hyped up in pop culture, you can usually find it there on TikTok. So relevance for new generations is what you find on TikTok right now. So make it fun, make it exciting. All right, Facebook or 35 to 65. It's a lot about Meta is now all about communities, groups, even events. So that's what you'll find on Facebook. And that's typically the crowd that you will find on Facebook, 35 to 65 years old. My Gen Z daughters are they say Facebook is for old people and I am old people. So if that gives you any idea, like your people who are 22 and younger, like they aren't really thinking about Facebook anymore. So if that's your audience, just know that they're somewhere else. They're usually on Insta, Snap, or TikTok. All right, next slide, please. All right. Now, make this easy. And I got to hurry through this because it's already 12:52. But I want to make sure that I don't leave this out. One of the most important things that I did in my business to help it develop and to help me streamline how I created content for my business was to choose what we call content pillars. They're really your marketing foundation. And here's the thing about content pillars. They're essentially the core topics that your brand is going to focus on. So it creates a foundation of strategy and a framework for consistent content creation aligned with your business goals. Content pillars are almost like buckets. You can look at them as buckets because they're going to act as categories for the different types of content that you create, and they're going to help you organize what you're creating so that it seems logical to you and logical to the customer. Simplify the information that you're communicating to your customers. Content pillars are a foundation of strategy because they provide a framework for consistent creation, like I said, and ensure that your content is going to align with your business goals. Content pillars help establish you as a brand authority because you're creating consistency in the messages that you're putting out, and you're doing that around key themes. So people like things that they relate to, that stay the same, but that progress with them. But people like things that are consistent and things that they see and things that they recognize. So make your brand easily recognizable with content pillars, right? And you can establish yourself as that thought leader. It's a great idea to use this, especially on LinkedIn, depending on what industry you're in. And then finally, content pillars improve your SEO. So they're going to focus on specific topics that help you target relevant keywords and improve your search engine visibility. So that's all about that improving SEO, that last one down there. The trick here is to create 3 to 5 content pillars for your business. And let's look at the next slide. And here are some examples of different types of businesses and what content pillars would work great for those businesses in that industry. So for someone who's running a software company, content pillars or the different things that they would use to help set up their content creation would be things like product updates, right? Industry trends, customer success stories, how-to guides, and tech insights. Those would be content pillars for a software company. If you were a travel agency or a tourism business, your content pillars may look like different travel tips, destination guides, road trips, budgeting, travel, cultural experiences. Those could be content pillars for you. So each one of these things you create different types of content for, but this is the main theme for why you're creating it. If you were selling clothing, if you were a fashion brand, your content may look something like sustainability, style guides, trend spotting, the hitting on the latest trends behind the scenes, do BTS, and customer lookbacks. So what does that look like? Or lookbook, excuse me. But that means what do your customers, what do they find intriguing about the business? So content pillars. It helps you with the content planning. It helps enhance your consistency, helps you attract the right people. It drives the engagement and it demonstrates your expertise. But I think one of the biggest things it does is it saves you a lot of time and thought because creating your own content, again, so many of you like were witnesses to, is very time consuming. This will help you save on that time. Create your own content pillars. All right. So this is going to end our section 2 for it. But while we're ending that and we're going to look at this next slide here, I have a mini challenge for you again to keep you guys engaged. So I would like some more brave people to come off mute real quick and identify a move that you can make. So someone tell me what you think, what marketing move could you make that maybe you haven't done yet? What's something regarding marketing that you would like to try that you think would make things easier and better for you that you have not done yet? What would you like to do with your marketing? What's going to be a marketing move for you coming up? Anybody want to come off mute and tell us? All right. I
Welcome.
see you in the comments too, Erica. Create content pillars for my bookkeeping business. Yes, it helps. Like, I've been in business for 12 years and I got to tell you, like, I just created content pillars like at the end of last year when I hired another VA. Well, no, it's probably about maybe August of last year. So like last summer, I went through and created like 5 content pillars. And since then, it's been so much easier for me to produce content because I'm like, I always use that as a reference to say, okay, here's what I'm going to talk about. Like, and you could literally say, like, week 1 is going to be this content pillar. Week 2 is going to be this one. Week 3 is this one. Week 4 is this one. You got your entire month covered. Then it's just a matter of how can I communicate this pillar with my audience to help them connect. So yeah, go for it, Erica, and let me know how it is. I want to know how it works out for you. All right. So some other things just to take with you guys for sake of time is make sure that you name your obstacle, right? Identify what it is that's stopping you from making that move right there. So if you are going to move forward and do these things and these challenges, um, then make sure that you're identifying what's standing in front of you to prevent you from doing that and why you haven't done it already. We got to move that thing out of the way so we can make that process, make that progress and set a deadline. Deadlines make things real. They make things real. You feel them in your bones. So when will you commit to taking that action? That's the next biggest thing. Let's see what we got. I see a comment from you, Tammy. I'm one of those people that only uses FB. I'm one of those old people. Look, I wanted to stay on Facebook so bad, and my audience just would not let me. I think the coupons or deadlines is a great idea. Oh yeah, like absolutely, absolutely. Creating a sense of urgency for an audience that wants to do business with you moves them from an area of being in from cold and warm leads to hot leads. Sometimes it's a light bulb for a lot of people to say, "Oh my God, I need to go ahead and take advantage of this," because not everybody feels like that urgency when they're shopping or want to take advantage of you. So help stimulate that, right? We talked about that earlier. Help stimulate it. All right, so that's been good. Great. It is 1 o'clock. I would like to do now a 10-minute breakout group with you all. So if we look at our next slide and this last section we're going to is about using that AI to help automate. If you listen to their conversation, they were automating a lot of things with their content, with the email marketing. Like they weren't actually pushing that by hand, but and adding to their email list. So there are things that you can automate in business. And one thing about automation I will say is this, and it kind of alludes to what you all spoke about with just being relative to storytelling and the marketing piece and what was the last thing and the feedback, right? AI is great ways to do that and use AI as a yes, there will be a replay to answer your question, Vanessa. Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. AI can be really awesome in the sense that it can actually produce for you, and it can produce a lot for you. But one thing to remember is that don't allow AI to be your end all be all. You still need a human touch. Business is human interaction. So in these next things that I'm going to be giving you, just know that your business will never be 100% hands free, but I want you to set a goal for how much, what percentage of hands-free activity that you want happening in your business. And strive to have your business in the beginning at least 80% hands-free. Now, you have to understand how things work in your business before you automate them. Or else, what we're doing is we're prematurely automating a system that we don't fully understand. And you could prematurely automate a system that may thwart your customers or send them the wrong place or have the wrong type of conversation with them. And we don't want that. So, that's my disclaimer into this last section, these last few minutes here is don't allow AI to be the end all be all. Don't forget that you need human interaction in between those. And I can tell you, I was a healthcare administrator for 15 years. What I learned about people and dealing with people dynamics is that people need a guide when they're dealing with your business. People need to be guided, and that was the word that I used when I was responding to Lawanda a few minutes ago. Is that if you can guide a person throughout the process of discovering you, shopping with you, experiencing your business or your tourism touch points or your tourism activities, if you can guide that process, if you can guide the feedback process, use that feedback to help make it better for others, people will attach themselves to your business. They will do that. They'll become fans, they'll become loyal, but it's just a matter of adaptation, right? It's all a matter of adaptation. Just knowing that folks need to be guided, and then finding what tools that you can use to help make that a real thing in your business. So that's what adapting and emerging to AI and all of this tech and automation is really about. So smart tech, when I say smart tech, I just mean AI. But what it does is it levels the playing field and it saves you tons of time and it gives people a pathway to follow. It's much easier to follow a beaten path. Seriously. All right. If we look at the next slide here, let's get to finishing this thing up. So power moves with AI and automation. Definitely use it for your content. So you can draft your content, your standard operating procedures. I think I talked a little bit more about SOPs in our live last week in the first training. So if you want to hear more about standard operating procedures, go back and watch that one. And brainstorm product names with ChatGPT, with Grok, with Claude. There are great platforms, AI platforms to help you create your content. So you take those content pillars and you plug them into a platform like ChatGPT that like this is literally what I do. Take my content pillar and say in the tone of, and I have my AI trained to recognize my brand voice as Biz Coach C because I've trained it over time and taught it, here's my marketing message, here's who I'm trying to reach, here's the platforms I'm using. Write out 5 pieces of content using this content pillar in the tone of Biz Coach C. Like I literally do that for my Chat GPT and it produces it. You may have to go back through and tweak it to make sure it does sound like your voice, that is for the right audience. I've had it produce certain content that says, hi ladies. Well, I have certain groups that are ladies only, but not all of them. So I have to make sure that it's not just saying that if one of these groups includes men also. So just make sure you tweak it for the audience and the offer. So don't just copy and paste. Check it out. Another power move that you can do with AI automation is automate how you capture your leads or how you capture your customers. So you can set up what we call a value ladder, which is offering some low level value to begin with. And the more that person shops with you, the longer their customer lifetime value, the more they interact with you, then you offer them higher level products or more products to get them or different types of products and services that help them get the results that they want. But set up that delivery in a funnel that I just mentioned. You can use an email sequence to do that. You can use MailChimp Flowdesk, HubSpot. I specifically absolutely love MailChimp. Now I use HubSpot also as like my customer CRM. I use MailChimp more so for sending out automating the emails, but I use HubSpot to collect the lead information and they talk to each other. Those two platforms integrate. So I'm able to look at one and it will tell me the same information that the other will and communicate that email marketing to the other. Schedule your social media content. You use platforms like Meta Business Suite. LinkedIn will now allow you to schedule posts. There's other platforms like Metrical Buffer that let you plan out like a month's worth of content, get it scheduled, saves you time, schedule your content, streamline that data flow. So if you haven't used Zapier before or Slack, they're great, and Google Forms, they're great for forms, they're great for project management, and they help you automate inquiries directly into that HubSpot and that MailChimp. So these systems are interconnected to get you where you need to be. So you can streamline how your data flows from the people you connect with through these types of systems. All right. And those are your power moves that you make with AI and automation. What we got next, Taylor, on our next slide. So Q&A and wrap up. Here we go. We're right here at the end and it is 1:30. I want to value your time. Does anybody have any questions about the power moves and the different AI tools that I mentioned and how you can use those in the business? Any questions, suggestions before I give you the last little bit here? All right. I don't see anybody coming off of mute, so I hope I've been very thorough in the explanations that will make it easier for you to understand and implement. I would say this in the wrap up is just solidify your story, right? Here's just the things that we recap from today. Brand storytelling, making sure that you're able to tell your story and you are telling it consistently. And do that exercise where I told you to create your pitch, create a 60-second brand story that will help you share it with anyone. And you can create two different ones. You can create a 60-second personal brand story and you can create a 60-second professional or business brand story. So do that. It will help you. So brand storytelling, focus on that low budget marketing that's going to reach people, but also going to save you money, and automate what you can with smart tech. So solidify that story, create a consistent way to share it and connect with your customers. Choose the right marketing strategy for yourself and develop it specifically for your business needs. So you'll see a lot of people who are out here setting examples that look very similar in your industry, but they may want different outcomes from different outcomes that are different from the ones that you need. So just make sure you're making that specific to your business when you're choosing the right marketing strategies. And map out your client journey. This is a huge challenge that I have for you. I want you to take the time to really sit down and write out places where your customer interacts with you. What does it look like for a customer to come across your content or your ad, start interacting with you, shopping with you, to actually making a purchase, signing a contract, and that feedback? Write down what that process would look like for a customer. And once you've got that on paper, to make sure that if you're going to go next level with this, so it's one thing to write it down. That's one level that most people, 80% of entrepreneurs don't do. But if you want to be like in the top 2% of performers, you take that list and you look at it and you say, now, where can I make this more streamlined for my customer? And how can I use AI to make it more seamless for me and for the people that are going to be buying from me or having the experience with me? So map out your customer journey as well as coming up with that 60-second brand story. Those are winners for you, absolute winners. All right, next session and next slide. So next week, next Wednesday, we are going to be talking about smart money and business resilience. So I'm going to be giving you a financial blueprint next Wednesday at 12 Eastern Standard, strategies for pricing and profitability that maximize your business potential. And the second part of that is going to be crisis proofing your business model. So creating resilient business structures that thrive in any economic climate. I want to make sure that you link to the right type of ecosystems that are going to help keep your business healthy profitable and thriving for a very long time. So we definitely need that conversation next week with what we have going on higher levels in legislation and what's coming down from higher places with decisions made. So financial blueprint and crisis models next week. Smart money and resilience to make your business sustainable. This series is business sustainability and growth, so we have to stay on track here. And then last slide I have for you is what I promised that I was going to give you. And I am going to be sending you all, or Uplift is going to be sending you all, along with this presentation, what I call a click, connect, and convert toolkit that basically takes everything that we talked about today. And it is going to be a toolkit for you to go through and design all of the things that I told you to do today in your business. So it's going to include a guide of at least 40 different AI tools, and it's going to tell you what all of they do. I'm going to have a brand story worksheet in there that's going to be a template for you to craft your compelling 60-second brand story. And then there's going to be another exercise that helps you create your ideal customer, or what I call your customer avatar, which is a framework to identify and understand who your ideal people are that are going to want to shop with you or have the experience with you. There's going to be a content strategy planner in there that helps you identify your pillars, your 3 to 5 pillars, and which social media outlets you should be on. And the last thing that you're going to get in that packet is 5 ways to increase your conversions, which is a breakdown on how to get better results from your efforts. So that's my free item for you today. And it's usually, it's usually about a $75 value for what I've taught you today in this, and for you to get this toolkit and do. If you do this, I promise you the results I've seen from this will help people solidify, or at least capture about 30 to 40% more clients for their business and convert their conversion rates. I've had people experience 30 to 40% higher conversion rates just from doing these exercises and implementing them into their businesses. So you guys are going to get that for free. And of course, last line, if you need us, call us. Uplift is here to help you. The QR code that's on the screen that you'll also get in the presentation will show you is the reference for where the slides came from today with the statistics on them. So if you want to read more about those social media stats, you're going to be able to scan that QR code that comes in that presentation. It's going to take you directly to the website. So, and my email address is here. If you're doing something, implementing something, I want your feedback too, so we can let people know how Uplift is helping small businesses and all of any other types of organizations, tourisms, chambers, everybody improve their experiences, get more customers, and do more for their communities. So you've got my website link there, my email, and please reach out to anyone, including myself, on the Uplift team if you need counseling, because we're here for that too, for your support. So thank you all today for viewing. I hope to see you next Wednesday. And these videos are also going to be uploaded, I think, on Uplift's website, uplifttourism.com. Now, Uplift is for businesses in North Carolina. So if by chance you are not in NC and you still need my help, still email me, reach out to me, because I'm still able to assist you either through my business or nonprofit. So here to support you guys, and appreciate the love and the participation today. Hope you all have a magnificent Wednesday and rest of your week. See you guys in a week. Take care.